Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe World Record Review, May 2021. It's time to cover a very exciting month for 200cc, which saw 30 new world records set across 6 different tracks. Before we begin, we'd like to remind you that we are still looking for feedback on how to improve the series, so if you have anything you'd like to tell us, please comment and let us know. Now let's get right into all of the 200cc world records we saw happen in May of 2021.
The first track to be improved in 200cc was Bone Dry Dunes. On May 1st, Panda improved his record twice. The first was a 52 millisecond cut to a 119.793. Lap 1 was a pretty good lap, but can still be overall tighter and cleaner. Lap 2 was a fast lap, mainly due to a good beginning disc and a fast shroom entry. Lap 3 was not the best as Panda hit the fence in the Piranha section, but it was just enough to achieve the .7. Panda quickly improved this by 76 milliseconds to a 119.717. Lap 1 was a very normal lap with solid lines. Lap 2 was fast, even with him hitting a fence. This fence hit wasn't super costly in this case, but it proves that Panda can bring down the split a lot further, despite it being the new BKS. Lap 3 was a bit of a safe lap in some aspects, but the lines were quite strong. Overall, this track is luck-based in a lot of aspects, so this run is very good for Panda. He does plan on coming back over time to bring it down as much as he can. The best known splits gave a 119.570. Congratulations, Panda, on your records here this month.
Now let's take a look at Mumu Meadows, which saw 3 records this month. Shortly after his records on April 29th, Army improved again on May 1st by 12 milliseconds to set a 58.782. Nothing went terribly wrong in this run, all the laps were average, making for an average time. Army quickly improved this time to a 58.746, which had a great pace entering lap 3. But then lap 3 wasn't the best. Army's final record of the month was on May 7th with a 58.734. Lap 1 was very clean and had no major mistakes. Lap 2's shortcut was wide and the empty trick track could have been slightly better. Lap 3 was solid, but the last mole turn gave Army micro bounces which cost about a frame. Overall, this is not a bad run, but Army still isn't really satisfied with it. The best known splits give a 58.615, and Army says he will come back soon to get a .6, or at least he said that back in May, and he did follow up on that promise in June, so be on the lookout for that video to see more of this track. Congratulations Army on your records here this month. This month saw another huge milestone broken in the game, over on Gba Mario Circuit. On May 24th, Ster improved his previous record by 73 milliseconds to set a 100.080. This run had a new strat, which is to release the SMT early after the anti-gravity. Now more of the SMT is spent before shrooming and a faster line is also taken so that you spend less time in a drift before shrooming. Laps 1 and 2 were quite good, but the biggest time loss of the run came on lap 3 in the anti-grav, where Ster held his SMT for too long, which made him miss the boost panel and lose 100 milliseconds. All 3 laps had a near perfect endingness. 3 days later, on May 27th, Ster improved by 55 milliseconds to a 100.025. This run saw another new strat, which is to do alignment hops to get higher speed during the trick and to avoid hitting off-road on the right side. Lap 1 had a close to BKS pace exiting the anti-grav, but he got a bad triple coin turn which made this split lower than average for Ster. On lap 2, Ster lost 1 or 2 frames when he neutral hopped to start his drift after the anti-grav and landed too far right on the white and red border, which ruined his line by sending him wide. Lap 3 had a great first NISC, but it seems like he got a slow drift after it which might have lost 1 to 3 frames. The anti-grav NISC was extremely good, the shortcut was average, and the ending NISC was perfect. At long last, on May 31st, Ster improved by 57 milliseconds, breaking the minute barrier on this track with a time of 59.968. Lap 1 had a fantastic shroom. The MT and hops before the anti-grav could have been a bit earlier, but the rest of the lap was driven amazingly with almost perfect lines and SMT releases. Lap 2's first NISC was done extremely well, but the counter hop strat was done a bit late, which resulted in the trick carrying him too far to the left. That resulted in Ster entering the NISC a bit tighter than optimal, but he timed his SMT release extremely well, so it barely lost any time. The rest of the lap was driven really well too, but he got a wide last NISC this time. Lap 3 had a very good first NISC, but his drift started a bit later than on lap 2, so we got a slower line towards the boost panel. Ster Ster got perfect counter hops, which gave him the optimal alignment for the Nisk, which was perfect and put him in the perfect spot for the boost arrow. His SMT release after the anti-grab was a bit wide, and the shortcut was a bit wide too, but overall it was more than enough to bring in the first minute sub on this track. The best known splits give just a 59.931. Congratulations Ster on your records here this month. Next up, we have another Alberto Rampage, this time on DS Cheep Cheep Beach. Alberto was talking to Genswa about this track, and they realized it definitely had a better shroom spot. Alberto started messing around and changed the way we do the underwater section to be shroomless and use the shroom through the ending mud. After finding the strat, Alberto immediately started his attempts and managed to improve rather quickly. Before we get into the runs, let's explain the new strat. You release the MT before the boost ramp as normal, but aim for the water on the side instead of the sand like before. Try to be on the right when getting air after the first underwater, as it gives lower air, which is especially important to do on lap 2 to avoid the crab. Once you're back in the water, simply release your MT as soon as you get it, but sometimes you may bounce a bit. This doesn't lose time, but it can mess you up. The part after is done as usual until you get to the jungle, where you get an SMT instead of a UMT, since the UMT would get overlapped by the shroom. Start your drift early with a neutral hop and shroom early. This part is really tricky and much harder than the shroomless underwater. To get the SMT efficiently, you must go as close to the wall as you can. Sometimes you have to do a small adjustment when you get to the mud. Release the SMT as soon as you get it, empty trick the ending ramp as usual, and there you go. If you do it right, you can gain up to 100 milliseconds. Alberto's first record, a 116.343 on May 20th, was surprisingly not even carried by the new strat, which was only done on lap 3. Alberto was already ahead of his previous record going into lap 3, and the shot was done really poorly and barely gained any time. The shroomless underwater was wide, and he started drifting for the ending shortcut too late, which messed up the line. The ending trick lost a huge amount because he did a flip trick instead of a side trick, which is bad on lap 3. Alberto quickly improved to a 116.327, which cleaned up the ending, and then to a 116.290, a 116.282, and a 116.227. Before this run, Army asked Alberto why he wasn't doing the new strat on lap 2. Alberto had thought it wasn't viable because of the crab, but in reality he hadn't even tried it, and it turned out to be possible. After playing the track more, Alberto's average lap 1 improved drastically, so he set his standard a bit higher. This lap 1 was really bad for him. Lap 2 did both parts of the new strat well, but the driving was improvable. Lap 3 didn't have the best underwater, and he shroomed too late at the end. Alberto ended the day with a 116.222, which had a very bad ending to lap 2. He stopped playing after this run because he had neck pain the next day, but he came back 8 days later to continue his rampage. He started with a 116.211 on May 29th, then a 116.163 and 116.159 on May 30th, and finally a 116.142 on the 31st. This run had no major mistakes, which was nice. Lap 1 had non-optimal underwater snaking, but everything else was good. Lap 2 is the weaker lap in this run. It started with a weird first turn that sent Alberto a bit too wide, losing around 15 milliseconds, and the shroom was a bit wide. He didn't mean to ride the grass before the shroom, but luckily he didn't get slowed down. Lap 3 had the same first turn as lap 2, but it wasn't as costly. He could have gone a bit tighter at the shroomless underwater, and the jungle turn was also fairly wide. But it made the setup for the shroom easier and had a really good ending. The best known splits give a 116.074. Alberto doesn't think that a 115 is possible with the current strats, but it could change if a better strat for the shroomless underwater section is found, as he feels there is more to be explored there. Alberto is really happy with this run, and says he may return in the future just to get a better lap 2 or to mess around and possibly find a new strat. Congratulations Alberto on your records here this month.
On May 25th, EternalX got his first world record on 3DS Music Park, beating Alberto by 7 milliseconds to set a 123.611. Lap 1 was overall fine, but definitely improvable. He got a lucky coin, which consists of getting all of the 3 coins after the tambourine with a really precise line. This is not only really difficult to get, but it's also hard to perform well after successfully getting the lucky coin, and completing a run without failing a Nisk is quite impressive. This gains about 150 milliseconds overall because it eliminates the need to go wide to get the last coin, lap 2, and you drive a good amount of laps 1 and 2 with an extra coin. Lap 2 had a grass hit at the start, and lap 3 was very good and ultimately brought in the record. On the same day, Alberto started a string of 4 improvements. The first was a 123.592, which lost the most time at the lap 3 ending Nisk since Alberto was too fast to go tight, and he got really high air on the first Nisk hop. He then hopped out of the grass too slowly, which lost even more time, about 120 milliseconds total. Alberto's next record was a 123.528, where he learned that it is faster to just get an MT instead of an SMT for the lap 3 NISC, where he got pace locked by tricking too far on the ground. Since the run is about to end, the lack of momentum exiting the NISC barely matters. He didn't do this ending perfectly though, as he got too low air this time, forcing him to do multiple hops, losing speed as a result. Also on May 26th, Alberto got a 123.455, which finally had a good ending with a really clean NISC. Alberto's final record of the month was an 88 millisecond improvement to a 123.367. Lap 1 had average driving and a weak NISC. Lap 2 was finally good, and he went a little wide at the 10th coin, which he used to his advantage to clutch out a low glider on lap 2, which hasn't been used since July 2020 world records. This lap was BKS by quite a bit. Lap 3 had nice driving, but he got too much air at the first NISC hop, but this time didn't fail the second hop, so he didn't lose too much. Overall, Alberto is very happy with this run, as he feels it's really consistent and strong for a track like this, although it is very far from perfect. The best known splits gave a 123.287, and Alberto knows he could save 150 milliseconds by getting a lucky coin, but doesn't think he'll return to the track for now. Congratulations to EternalX and Alberto on your records here this month.
Next up, we're going to Gba Ribbon Road, where Army would set 7 records in just 2 days. The first was on May 28th with a 4 millisecond improvement to a 117.557. Army had de-rusted just a few days prior without having much expectations. He discovered that there was another and faster way to do the glider NISC section. Instead of going wide and performing an SMT without a trick, you can just go tight, do a trick, and skip the ramp. The problem with this is it makes you too fast to go to the right of the Gba clown car, and going to the left is much slower than going to the right. Just a few minutes after this run, Army got a 117.548, which got pace locked and consequently a slow lap 3. On the very next attempt, Army got a 117.533, which also got pace locked. Army's last record of the day was a 117.490, which was also pace locked. The next day, on May 29th, Army found out 2 things. The first is that it is barely faster to not get pace locked than just going very fast on laps 1 and 2 and getting pace locked. And the other is that it is faster to go to the right of the Gba clown car on lap 3, even though it is very far to the right already. Army got a 117.474, which used both of these strats. It also used a strat theorized by Genswa, which consists in doing a double trick instead of one single trick before the glider on lap 3. In this run, Army missed an SMT on lap 1, which cost around 0.1. Army got 2 more records here, the first being a 117.460 and then a 117.370. With the strats from earlier, Army's goal was a 0.3, but unfortunately this run got pace locked. However, Army pulled out the improvisation and managed to hop before the ramp to get a good line and then get an MT with a trick and still go to the right of the Gba clown car. Compared to not getting pace locked, this loses around 150 milliseconds, but as of now, no pace break has been found. Army says that this run can still be beaten without a pace break, but it will require a great run. The best known splits give a 117.115. Congratulations Army on your records here this month. And with that, we have wrapped up the month of May for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe World Records. Don't click off the video yet though, because we have 2 big announcements to share. Once again, we would like to apologize for falling so far behind schedule and not having these videos out until August. By the time you're seeing this video, I've actually already moved into college and will be too busy to keep the series running. However, that doesn't mean that the series is over. Far from it, in fact. I'd like to now pass the mic over to the person who I will be handing the title of Project Lead to so he can talk about the future of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe World Record Review. Awoken, take it away.
How's it going, everyone? So, as you just heard from Rod, I'm going to be taking over as the head of the MK8DX World Record Review Series. Now, don't get scared when I say this, because the videos in this series will still look just like they did on Rod's channel, and there's not going to be any drastic changes to the format of the series. So, same videos, just on a different channel. The second major thing that we have to announce is this, and as I'm sure we've made you well aware, and if you weren't already well aware, we are far, far behind on the videos in this series. The May videos are going up in September. That's unacceptable for us. We'd like to dig ourselves out of this hole, but we'd also like to ask you guys for some help. And that means that we are going to be opening applications to join the team that works behind the scenes on these videos. if you are well versed in stuff like this, video making, video editing, well, not video editing, but we're looking for people to write the scripts and voice the scripts of these world record review videos. I can have the editing taken care of, and it'll make the whole process of getting a video ready to be made and getting it done, it'll make it way, way faster. So we're looking for people to help with that, and there will be an application in the Google form below in the description. So be sure to apply to that if you are interested. And as for everyone else, the series is going to be continuing on as usual on my channel, so subscribe to me over there with the second link in the description. As always, thank you all so much for watching this video in this series, and we will see you all on my channel when we recap the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe World Records set in June of 2021. See you then.